desert in the great American Southwest. I'm Art Bell.
Slamming into your radio like a supercharged nanoparticle of unobtainium. My name is George Knapp.
I'm Richard Serrett.
This is Connie Willis.
I'm George Noory. Welcome to Coast AM.
It's great to be here.
Welcome to Coast PM, the number one unofficial Coast to Coast AM podcast. We are two brothers who analyze the world's largest overnight paranormal radio show, known as Coast to Coast AM. My name is Paul, the one that listens to this inexplicable radio show, here with my brother.
Hey, it's Chris, and boy, I sure am excited for another episode of Coast to Coast PM.
I am as well, Chris, but hopefully this one does not get censored like our moon landing episode.
Yeah, dude, Spotify, not a fan of, and I feel like we did everything we could with the title to say it's a hoax, right? Like,
yeah,
it's a silly thing that we're doing here.
And here's the thing, is out of all of, and to give context to everyone, if you listen on Spotify, our moon landing hoax episode that we did last week was taken down. So if you want to go listen to that, go to like Apple or Stitcher or something else to find it.
Stitcher isn't around anymore. You're dating yourself.
Well,
Stitcher's
wherever
dead.
the hell they go. We uploaded
YouTube.
to...
You can go to YouTube. Everyone
YouTube
has access to YouTube. You can find it on
Is Stitcher
YouTube.
gone for real?
Yeah, they've changed it to something else now.
Oh, well, we plug it into the thing and then it goes everywhere, right? I don't know how this stuff works. It's a series of tubes. But yeah, it was taken down, so go listen to it somewhere else. But like, out of all of the things that we have talked about on this podcast, all of the conspiracies, the moon landing one is the one that gets taken down?
Very suspicious to me, Paul.
I'm not saying it's true. It makes me suspicious, though.
I'm suspicious. I'm suspicious now. I'm like, wait a minute. Was the moon landing a hoax?
No, I never once thought it was a hoax until it got taken down. I'm like, this is where they target?
We've talked about 100 insane things, Paul. 100 episodes, all of them insane. And the one that Spotify cannot countenance is a moon hoax episode in which we're attacking the guy.
The entire time we're making fun of him.
We're attacking the guy.
I'm so lost. I am so lost. But today, Chris, that won't be happening because I can guarantee you today's topic will not trigger any filters.
No, not triggering any truth filters, or the peons can't actually talk about this.
Yes, this is about the Akashic Records today. We are going to be listening to Amy Robeson's April 24th interview with Mr. George Noory.
Okay, very interesting. So what is this? The Akashic what?
The Akashic Records, Chris.
Okay, the Akashic Records. So what is this?
And that's why I'm confident it won't be taken down, because no one knows what this is unless you listen to
is.
Coast, because
Right.
it's silly. The Akashic Records is basically the almost like record of life that is out in the spiritual realm that you can go access. Some people say it's like actually a book in a library. Some people say it's more just like a data download, but it has all the information of everything you ever did, never done, or ever will do, or ever did in your past lives.
It's St. Peter's Book of Life.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Basically.
cool. All right. I didn't know that people thought that thing actually existed.
And they think that they can access it. So
And
we are going to be...
They can access all their records.
We're going to be listening to Amy Robeson talk about how she accesses these records and does Akashic Records readings, which she does for people on air.
She reads other people's records.
She can apparently get into your book.
That seems like some privacy filters should be put on that.
Yeah, I guess like a canned spam or GDPR hasn't been passed in heaven yet, but I think maybe something needs to be done to keep this random woman who
I
charges
should
a lot.
have control over my spiritual data, Paul.
You should. You really should. And if you choose to share that, that's your willingness.
Oh my God, dude. I just thought of a $1 billion idea.
What?
Spiritual LifeLock.
That's a good one.
Spiritual LifeLock, so no one can reach your Akashic Records.
Akashic Records.
Akashic Record. I'm never going to get it right. So it's going to be something different every single time.
We could make millions because this lady is making bank. selling Akashic record classes.
Oh, dude, sometimes you just can't hate on a good grift, though, dude.
We'll get into how much it costs, but it's a shocking amount of money that she's charging.
All right. We gotta get to Tim time.
Before we get to that, let's get to Tim time.
Tim time.
You're supposed to do the thing.
Tim time.
We're already off the rails.
Yeah.
Argentine UFO museum raided by authorities in search of Peruvian mummy's foot.
Things are getting weird out there, Paul.
They
We're
are.
getting shut off Spotify, and Peruvian police are going into UFO museums. What is going on here?
Argentinian police are going to UFO
Argentinian.
museums to find
Sorry.
Peruvian feet. There's a lot. Where's this? This is a cross-border heist.
Yeah, you guys pull out a map. You're gonna need it.
A UFO museum in Argentina is one less Peruvian mummy's foot. Wait,
That's right. You're reading it right, dude. Tim is hitting you with the goop, dude. He knows this is goofy.
Sorry. All right, I got this. A
I'm not
UFO
cutting
museum
any
in
of this.
Argentina is less one Peruvian mummy's foot after authorities raided the attraction and recovered the appendage along with dozens of other antiquities.
Oh my God! What all did they take, dude? Where did this UFO museum get the money to buy all this stuff?
Well, I mean, did they buy it? Did they steal it? Who knows?
They
Let's find out.
They almost certainly stole it. Probably right.
According to a local media report, the operation occurred on Wednesday morning when the federal police and Interpol agents descended on the Museo del OVNI located in the city of Victoria. Interpol's involved.
I was going to say, for our pure Americans who don't know, Interpol is the international police, which is literally like a conglomeration of the vast majority of countries, not the US. The US is not an Interpol, but like every single other country on the US is. But the US is.
Yeah, dude, we're not putting up with that stuff. It's like if you tried to try someone at The Hague. We talked about that last time, which many people won't know about because we got taken down.
Yeah,
It's
that's
fine.
right. That's right. So
We
listen
got censored.
Oh my God, do you think it was the Hague talk?
There's no way it was The Hague talk.
I feel like people have said worse stuff like that on Spotify than us saying that the U.S. military won't. Maybe I shouldn't
Would
say it
storm
again.
The Hague.
Don't say it again.
Sorry. Maybe that was it.
Maybe that was
I
it.
feel like people who missed it are gonna have to go listen to it now because they're probably like, what the hell were they doing on this episode? Anyways, the popular tourist attraction has reportedly been run out of the home of researcher Silvia Perez Simondini since 2005 and features a fantastic facade depicting various aspects of UFO phenomena. Within the museum are a library, a presentation space, and an array of exhibits, including one that inexplicably featured a Peruvian mummy's foot.
What were they trying to say about this Peruvian mummy's foot? Was it like the little Peruvian alien guys that the Mexican government was trying to convince us were aliens?
I don't know. I was trying to see if they had a picture of it on the local media report, but I don't speak
Spanish,
and I can't tell what is going on here. So
Baxter, you know I don't speak Spanish.
let's see here. And when I click English, it doesn't translate it. So I'm out of luck. That is the
All right.
extent of my journalism.
Yeah, but no photos. Pretty much.
There are some photos, but I can't tell what they are.
Okay, but
It's
nothing
very
is looking like a mummy's foot, though.
No, it's super pixelated. It's very
Okay.
poor imaging by this
Come on, Argentinians. Step it
Argentinian
up a little
website. I'm very
bit.
confused.
Step it up, Argentina.
Oh, wait, no, I do have a picture. Okay, sorry. Tim posted the picture.
Tim had to post the picture, dude. Tim knew that his readers would need the picture.
It looks like a very old. I mean, to be
Mummy's
honest,
foot.
dude, you know what this reminds me of?
What?
Is like a turkey bone at a Ren
Mhm.
fair.
Well, you
So
gotta
it's
think,
like-
people were like 4 feet tall back then.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it's good. It's like a child's foot.
But I also like, why would you have this in your museum? It's so weird.
I mean, they must be saying something about the Peruvians being visited by UFOs. like the Mayans or the Incans or something like it would have been the Incans being visited, and they probably have like an old, they probably have some like Incan and Maya and Aztec like stuff, and that's just like a piece to go with it all, right? It really isn't alien. It's just like it's an old foot.
Just a weird thing to have. Although the
right.
artifact had undoubtedly been on display at the museum for years, its presence there apparently only recently came to the attention of officials at the Peruvian embassy in Argentina.
I'm going to say these places like these are pretty fun though, because I'm going to give a big old shout out to the Cryptozoology Museum up in Bangor, Maine.
Oh, Bangor, Maine.
And dude, I was expecting that it was just going to be like grainy photos and some foot casts and stuff. They do have big foot casts and things like that, right? Of course, like they have that. But like the vast majority of it was like memorabilia and, posters of old movies of the swamp creature and old toys and like, ancient relics and stuff like that. Like it was just like, well, probably not that ancient. I think a lot of them were actually replicas, but it was just like a bunch of cryptid type stuff all in this building, right? And like it had loose affinity all together, but like it wasn't like we're really going to like teach you about the art of cryptozoology and you know what I mean? It was much more of a tourist attraction than it was like a serious museum.
It's like interesting stuff. Like here's some weird wonky stuff.
It was, a couple of bros were like, dude, we have all this weird crap. What are we going to do with it? And I get it because like between me and you, we've gathered a lot of weird crap since we've started doing this podcast. And we've been doing it for a year.
2 years.
2 years.
Oh we learned that on last episode that got censored.
You're right. Oh my God. And we've been doing it for 2 years. I mean, like we were talking, dude, can you imagine how much stuff art accumulated? And we don't even have the listenership like anywhere near it.
And our listeners don't send us cursed dolls like they were sending art. Where are our cursed dolls?
We need, guys, you need to start sending us cursed dolls, maps to buried Big Feet, and coordinates to bottomless pits.
Yes, those are really the top 3 things we're needing.
Yes, I need some of those.
Upon learning about the mummy's foot, they alerted the Argentine authorities to what they believe to be a violation of an agreement between the two countries, wherein they protect against illegal trade of cultural and archaeological artifacts. A subsequent investigation led to a YouTube video showcasing the mummy's foot and, in turn, sparked the raid that unfolded on Wednesday morning at the UFO Museum. Don't post your stolen feet online.
That dude, they didn't even contemplate it, man. You know what I mean? They just didn't even contemplate. They were just so stoked about making some promotional videos that they weren't like, oh, half this crap is stolen. And we're like, they were probably the ones who stole it.
Well, let's find out, because according to the article, in addition to seizing the appendage, authorities have recovered over 60 additional artifacts, such as pottery and fossils suspected of having been illegally brought into Argentina from Peru or found within the country and wrongfully kept by the museum's curator.
And it's kind of sad, dude, because, like Peru is definitely way more like native South American, and Argentina is just like a bunch of Germans and Italians who are ex-Nazis and fascists. And so there's like a double crime going on here. You know what I mean? It's a bunch of former Nazis and Mussolini fascists stealing artifacts. I mean, it makes sense. This is all tracking.
Yeah.
This is all tracking. I mean, the Nazis were prolific, like, artifact hounds. Like, they needed their artifacts.
Very esoteric group. They were trying to fight the war in the spiritual dimension, and I think that's where they went wrong.
Oh, dude, and now you add UFOs into it, we're definitely dealing with some Nazis.
I really miss the days of History Channel where it was just all like documentaries about lost Nazi train gold
Oh
or
yeah,
lost
dude.
Nazi
Oh my God.
underground occult bunkers.
That Hitler actually found the Holy Grail and the Spear of Destiny.
Yes.
Oh
Those
my
are
God.
great. Those are
Mwah.
great.
Mwah. The expeditions he sent to the Himalayas, which were legitimately weird.
They were everything they were doing was weird.
Legitimately weird.
So strange.
The belief structure that was being developed in Nazi Germany is somewhat terrifying, but it is fascinating, right?
Especially when you consider how much meth they were all taking. It sort of makes
Right.
sense, though.
Yeah.
It's definitely
Oh,
a
yeah.
meth head philosophy they were building.
Oh yeah, dude. Man. Well, that's true too.
To that end, Simondini indicated that she found the mummy's foot during a vacation to Lima long ago and attempted to turn it over to various museums, until finally deciding to display it as part of her collection when no place agreed to receive it. Calling the raid unpleasant, she went on to lament that they took a lot of the pieces that are things that are found here in Victoria on the coast.
Paul, I'm just gonna say, all those vacations I've been on when I just stumble on full mummies. And I'm like, well, I can just take this.
I mean, I have 3 mummy's feet in my office right now, Chris. I can make a Frankenstein mummy with all the body parts
There
that I've
you
taken
go,
off the
dude.
coastline.
There you go. We're gonna get to a point in 3D printing technology where you could take just the mummy's foot and then 3D print a whole body based off of that foot.
Dude, I'm about to go to the beach with some friends this weekend, and the entire time I'm going to be walking around looking for bodies.
No, I didn't find any bodies at the beach when I was there last.
You saw no bodies,
Zero
no
body. Whether just recently dead or have been dead for hundreds, possibly thousands of years. I saw no bodies.
For clarification, I don't want recently dead bodies. I should
Okay.
say that. I
Yeah.
want mummified bodies.
Yes.
Recently dead's going to be scarring.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Though at Myrtle Beach, dude, they may have some floating bodies.
There's a non-zero chance I run across one.
There's a non-zero chance there's a
It
floating
is South
body
Carolina after
at
all.
Myrtle Beach.
All right. Well, for some housekeeping, you can support the show at patreon.com/coast-to-coast-pm. It's the exact URL that you would think it would be. You can email me at c2cpmpod@gmail.com, or you can find Chris on Reddit, r coast-to-coast-pm. And with that, let's jump into our episode. Chris, you ready to learn about the Akashic Records with our girl, Amy Robeson?
Mrs. Robinson, if I'd say so myself. Dude, I have no idea what to expect. So I'm pretty excited.
And here's the thing. The reason why I've been skipping the Akashic Records for a really, really long time. For 2 years, actually, because they talk about it monthly.
You were telling me this. I had no idea this was such an integral part of the Coast to Coast AM community was these records. I had never heard of them.
They're constantly talking about it. I find it so stupid. I didn't want to talk about it, but we're going to finally do it, Chris.
So are you giving us like the best of the Akashic record people, or are we going to be like really having a fun time here?
Okay, so I don't think there is a best Akashic Record person. I think they're equally bad.
Okay.
This one does do live Akashic Record readings though, which is why I picked it.
Ooh, well, dude, the live readings are the best. Yeah. And here's the thing, I always talk a little bit of crap on these people, but like when Glynis McCant does her numerology on the air, she's actually pretty good at it.
Honestly, she's much better at math than I will ever be.
Yeah.
Because she adds numbers up really quickly.
Very quickly. And they sound right. Her answer, the math she's doing sounds right. I don't know if it actually is.
Most of what she does just feels right. She just says it so earnestly. But Chris, we're not worried about that today.
That's right. We're talking about Mrs. Robinson.
But before we get to the Akashic Records, Chris, we got to find out, how'd you get into this?
How did you get involved in the Akashic Records?
I found the Akashic Records by accident. I was in dire need. I was starting to get depressed again, and last time I got depressed, I wanted to take my life, and I knew that I didn't want to get depressed to that point. I injured my tailbone for the second time in my life, and I was having a complete identity crisis, and I was having very bad dreams, nightmares of people killing me or something happening to me at all times.
Oh, geez.
And so I wanted to find something that would make me feel better, and I knew that I wanted to learn how to meditate, so I found a meditation teacher. And when I found that meditation teacher, she taught me how to do dream interpretations, automatic writing. I became like a meditation teacher, learned how to do like exorcisms and aura cleansings and all sorts of different things. And when I studied with her, that's when I found the record.
I will say there's something interesting about her entering her tailbone because it is a chakra.
It is. And it's the root chakra, right?
Right. So, and then she was talking about, and then it is kind of silly, right? That she was like, and I had an identity crisis, and it was like, well, I don't know, maybe you kind of could if you like seriously damage one of your chakras. I mean, I kind of, I only marginally believe in that stuff, right? But I think there's something to it.
It could be. It could be.
And so, anyways, I was kind of like, all right, well, we're starting, we got an origin story developing here.
And it's a good origin story, and it's a sympathetic origin story too. It's one of those things of like, hey, whatever, if you're having a hard time and you're dealing with depression, whatever you find that like helps you through it, if it's like meditation or like esoteric stuff, I'm cool with all that, dude.
Do you think with the chronic pain, she was also doing Oxycontin or some kind of opioid or something like that? That was also a thought that I was having as well.
That's a good point, because I don't know exactly. I don't know when they stopped like giving people Oxycontin all the time.
I think it was like under Trump.
It was like a week ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago, dude. Maybe pre-COVID was when the Sacklers got like seriously sued.
Yeah, it's possible. And this is a terrible thing.
It's been since I've been in South Carolina.
I've always been curious what Oxycontin feels like. I never got to try it. And it just, because people would take it and just walk around. I'm like, how were you still functional? I don't know.
Well, that's called being
a drug addict.
Well, I wasn't going to say a drug addict, but tolerance, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
You develop a tolerance to it.
I guess so. Anyways, let's find out what the Akashic Records are, Chris.
What are the records, Amy?
The records are an infinite field of possibilities. Every word, deed, thought from the moment your soul is incepted is recorded in the Akashic field. And we can open up the Akashic Records to ask any sorts of questions about the past, the present, or the future. And you will receive love and guidance and support from the masters, teachers, and loved ones, also known as the guardians of the records. So you can think about it as like a computer database of your soul, and you can ask and receive support on demand.
I don't have a problem with that whatsoever.
It's like tech support. It's nice.
I'm not seeing any problem with this. I mean, it totally aligns with, like, do I believe this lady can access these records at will, like she's going through a filing cabinet? No, I don't believe that. But like that everything is imprinted on the universe for individual souls. I don't have any doubt about that.
Well, there's actually theories about that too, with like the holographic universe that theoretical physics have put out, where the outside of the universe is just pure data, and then it's projected inside.
Yeah.
So in that sort of scenario, that kind of aligns, where there is data storage out there, and whether or not we can access it by meditating is a different story. But I think there's some fun you could have here with like metaphysics.
Well, and it's kind of funny, actually, now that you're saying it. I don't doubt that if you could kind of, like we were talking in previous episodes, I don't have any doubt that we could train ourselves, right? In which you can almost evolve into being able to touch these things at maybe not at will, but with serious meditation or concentration or whatever it is. And because like we talk about, right? If this like some kind of conscious bubble that I have inside of me, right? Well, everything has some kind of conscious bubble. The pebble, the rock, has a tiny conscious bubble in it, right? And like we all will go back to the big bubble. And so why couldn't you, feel impressions of another bubble in the bubble verse?
Yeah, yeah. I think, and here's my thing with it, and we've talked about this before. It's to me, it's a question of if something like that were to be possible, I feel like it wouldn't be that easy to do. I feel like it would take effort.
It's not going to be easy to do. And here's the thing. I think there does have to be some kind of like, you couldn't just like penetrate my bubble, right? There would have to be some kind of like, I don't know, kind of like a vampire almost, right? You gotta invite the other bubble into your bubble to experience the bubble in which I am and the bubble in which you are experiencing my bubble, right? But here's the thing. We are all actually the same bubble, which is why I think that if you can't, this is like, if we're going on the, what is it, Kardashev scale. And, that's going to be like a type 4 civilization that is able to access, what is it? I'm going to say it wrong again. The Akashic
Records, yeah.
The Akashic Records, right? It's going to take a long time for the mass of humanity to be able to touch those records, but if there are individuals who can do it, maybe.
Well, Chris, I'm gonna have to reel you in a little bit.
Sorry,
because
dude. You thought this was gonna be silly fun, dude, and I'm like, wait a minute, hold up one second.
One second, this is making a lot of sense to me.
This lady doing something to me right now, dude. Mrs. Robeson.
Mrs. Robeson's doing something to you. We gotta get a little more lore about these records before we get too crazy, Chris. So let's find out how there's a bunch of librarians, and we gotta find out how you become a librarian here.
Here's to you, Mrs. Robinson. Jesus loves you more than you will know. Oh, oh, oh.
Now, these guardians of the Akashic Records, who appoints them to that assignment?
It's all based on questions. So if you go into the Akashic Records, there's special guardians based on the questions that you're asking. You can ask all sorts of different questions in one session, and so they'll switch out based on what the practitioner or the client is needing at that particular time and what they're asking. And so I always like to explain it this way. The guardians have specialties, and based on their specialties, that's how they're going to support you. So if you have a toothache, you want to go to a dentist. You want to see a dentist because that's what they studied, not a car mechanic. So same thing with the guardians. They have specialties based on the questions you're asking, and they will switch out all throughout the sessions, throughout the entire session to support you.
It's kind of interesting that the spirit world, or I'm going to call it the bubble verse, that the bubble verse uses guardians, which is actually, funnily enough, a Platonic idea. This comes from Plato.
Oh, interesting. You're right.
And so you had the guardians who were kind of like the philosophical leaders of a city, right? And then you had the nocturnal council. And so the guardians were the daytime leaders. The nocturnal council kept everything going during the nighttime. And then they were also like studying the stars and stuff like that. I would want to be on the nocturnal council. I feel like that would be the doper of the two, because the guardians are having to deal with like people all the time. And then you get like, sometimes you get to bash some guys, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you're a robber? I'm going to bash you with my bros, you know what I mean? It's kind of dope. It's kind of a dope idea. But anyways, that the spirit world is going Platonic, that's what I'm saying, dude. The OG original guys that were just at the foundation of civilization, dude, they were onto something.
Maybe they were onto something that she has tapped into. Maybe she's unknowingly had her ideas influenced by Plato, because I feel like she hasn't read Plato.
She did not read Plato, dude. So this is how I know, like, something is coming in from the metaverse, the bubble verse, right? Like, something is penetrating the psyche.
As she's talking, I just don't feel like she's read much Plato, but I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm judgmental.
We walk into her library and it's just nothing but the discourses of Plato, Aristotle, and Socrates.
That would be amazing, actually.
She's like, actually, I was a PhD in philosophy, asshole.
And then she's reading like the histories of Josephus in ancient Hebrew.
Yeah. You don't even know what you're talking about, dude.
Well, Chris, let's find out, because George, he asks what's something weird that happened with the records that she's experienced. So let's get into a little bit of that.
I have had all sorts of different experiences in the Akashic Records. I would say that the most unusual experience that I had, it was actually, I was getting ready to put together a crystal grid for one of my courses, and we were going to do like a money clearing of patterns and things like that. And so I was getting ready to put together this crystal grid, and I had the records open. I was guided to clear out the main crystal that was going to go in the center of the grid, which was like a Celtic, an optical calcite. And when I was clearing it out, I saw angels just shoot down right out from the sky, like right with my eyes wide open, and pull a soul right out of this crystal. There was something that was stuck in the crystal that was trapped, and it was definitely a soul of some sort, and it just like whoop, whipped it right out of there because it was stuck.
Truly remarkable.
She saw a bubble being coming out of a crystal.
Wait, so the bubbles live in crystals now?
Dude, I told you, even pebbles have a little bubble.
Oh, so she saw the soul of the crystal leave the crystal.
Right.
That's weird. Why? Wait, wouldn't you want it to leave it in the crystal? So the crystal's just an empty void then, now.
Yeah, dude, I just don't know enough about crystals, which makes me not like crystals. Like, if I had a crystal person just like walk me through crystal lore, I would probably be down with crystals, but I'm just not really. Like I said, like basics, probably everything has a little bubble, right? And so I would imagine that actually a crystal is one of the highest forms of rock being, almost, if that makes sense. Rock bubble, right? Like that would be one of the highest, because they've gone through the most pressure and the most heat and have the most, like, they're the purest form of the synthesis of Earth, right? Or the planet that they happen to be on.
Chris, I'm surprised you didn't ask me what a crystal grid was.
Again, like, I don't know crystal lore. Crystal lore.
I thought for sure I had to pull the definition of crystal grid, because I'm like, Chris is going to immediately say, what's a crystal grid?
I just figured that she like put crystals in like a weird geometric shape, and that's a crystal grid.
So you're not too far off. It's where you set a community of crystals together, used with intention to manifest a desired result. So the idea is that the crystals amplify each other's energies,
right,
to create a powerful tool for manifestation. Right. And then you have a center stone that is the anchor the grid's energy like feeds into, and it's basically like the antenna that broadcasts the intention to the universe.
That's Lord Crystal. And then all the like knights of the crystal round table are sitting around it.
Yes, exactly.
But the Lord sits in the middle.
Yes.
Right.
And then it's all just like feeding into him, it's like spokes on the wheel. It's the dark tower, right?
Yeah, right. But and I get that, like, you gotta moon charge them and stuff like that. And you know what? It's like, I got little taste of the Lord, but again, why? Why the moon?
Dude,
Why doesn't the sun work? The sun, the light from the moon is the sun. And so I just like have all these questions, and I'm sure it's like, well, the moon's actually a mirror, and by putting it on a mirror, you know what I mean? There's answers, right? But like, I don't know it, but I fear the unknown, and so like it's just easy for me to make fun of crystals. But really, when I get down into it, I'm like, really, crystals can fit into the lore. I need some help with the accoutrement.
do I need to find you a crystal episode?
Give me a crystal episode.
All right, we'll work on that at some point, which we probably will, because I'll forget. So let's find out what she's selling, Chris, because this is really what this conversation is about. What can you buy from this lady?
Tell us about your book, Sacred Gifts.
Oh, it's not a book. It is 20 plus free meditations, healings that I do inside of the Akashic Records that people can access for absolutely free. And they can just go to my website, which is theamyrobeson.com/free. And there's all sorts of different healings in there, from money to inner child to new beginnings.
And they find that on that website. They can just sign up for it, or how did they download it?
Yeah, they just sign up for it, and they get access to our member portal, and it's absolutely free. And there's 20 plus free healings on there.
Everybody got a Patreon these days. Everybody got a Patreon these days, dude. That's all I heard.
Yeah. So I went, and honestly, this is
I
great
got a book
marketing.
and I got a Patreon.
Yeah. This is great marketing by Amy, because she's got the free stuff. She's not talking about you buy classes. She says, go check out the free stuff.
I got so much free stuff, baby. I'm going to reel you in.
Yeah. So you go to the website, and then immediately I see that her classes cost anywhere from $777 up to, Chris, what do you think the top platinum option for
Well,
her
hold
classes
up.
costs?
How many weeks and how long are the sessions?
All right, so if you spend, I pulled the data for the $2,775 option,
Yeah.
which is 5 comprehensive video lessons and 5 powerful activations.
So that can mean anything.
Yes, basically.
That could be.
Basically.
A video also kind of makes me think like she may just send you like a YouTube video that's set to private.
I'm pretty sure that you'll just get linked to Vimeo. Yeah, I don't think, because it's not there's a raffle to be involved in like an in-person reading with her, which tells me this is not something you get to interact with her on.
She has that many people doing it that she has to raffle it.
I don't know. I don't know if that is just some marketing BS or if that's real.
Like really good marketing. Like almost everybody gets a reading, but it's like, I won the raffle. That's good, dude. We need to come up with a coast to coast PM raffle.
Yeah, you sign up for the Patreon, you enter the raffle, then everyone wins. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't know.
What do we give them? You get. Oh, dude, that's it. Private readings with Chris and Paul.
There we go. I know how to read tarot. I know how to read tarot. We can do that.
You know how to read tarot, and I will just sit here and BS you.
Yeah.
On whatever you want me to. You just ask me questions, and I will just sit here and just like, I'll give you good answers, right? I'll give you proper answers, whatever I think, but like, we can say it came from, God or an archangel or an alien or a ghost or whoever you want me to say it's from, right? But like, it'll be good advice.
Sure. So, Chris, you interrupted me though. Starts at $777, right?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
If you want to be certified to read Akashic Records, she will give you a certification for $2,775.
So you can become a certified Akashic reader of records.
Correct. Yeah.
Is that like a paralegal?
Sure. Why not? I don't know. It's all made up. So, Chris, for the platinum bonus package with all the bells and whistles, how much do you think that costs?
Everything she has to offer.
Yes.
You get it. Oh man, dude. I think she may sell this for a little bit of money. I'm saying like 10 grand.
You were close. $11,000.
Ooh. Dude, she making some money if people are buying this.
I am shook by how expensive this shit is. I've gone to a lot of websites off coast. This is pricey.
Dude, but George would not talk about the Akashic Records every month if he did, like, if there wasn't an audience wanting to listen to this.
It's true. That honestly
You
is
know what
true.
I mean? Like, if it's actually that common that they're talking about it that much, there must be a ton of people that are like, there's a whole Akashic record community
Yeah.
I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
And
A
they're
lot of
willing to
readers.
shovel out some cash.
They are. I mean, apparently, dude, 11 grand? Come on. I mean, I guess it makes the 3 grand look realistic.
Dude, let's go hurt your tailbone.
I know, I'm in the wrong profession. We need to stop podcasting. We need to
Let's-
start selling Akashic record classes.
Dude, let me crack that tailbone real quick.
I feel like we can do something different though. Like maybe it's just like candle manifestation that allows you to like speak to God. I don't know.
Ooh, we're gonna get a little Evelyn Paglini taste on this.
I'm a big Paglini fan. You know me.
Oh, dude, let's roll in some Paglini.
Mhm.
Let's get. Who else can we get? I mean, we got to get some Glynis, dude.
A little
has
Glynis,
got
maybe a
to
little
be-
Malachi. Throw a couple
Little
demons in
Malachi.
there.
You gotta get yourself a good priest.
All right, Chris, we gotta get through this. We gotta
Okay,
get through
sorry.
this.
All right.
Well, let's find out how you get access to the records, and then we're gonna jump into some of the live readings on calls.
What techniques do you recommend to people who want to access their Akashic records?
So, for my students in Sacred Awakening, I teach them a different modality that's really simple and easy. We utilize the crystalline energy, and we have a simple prayer. And so the method itself is very simple. We pull the crystalline energy in. There's a specific prayer that we say, and then we just access them.
And how long does it take to be able to do that?
Depending on the day, because if someone's having a bad day, they might need to ground a little bit more in their heart space. But if they're feeling good, it can take like less than 2 minutes, less than a minute, depending on the person. But in the beginning or when you're first starting off, it can take a few minutes or 5 minutes if you're not grounded.
That's not bad.
No, not bad at all.
Not bad.
Not bad, dude. George is sounding a little rough tonight, dude.
Honestly,
There's some slurs, dude, out of George.
He was not good on this one. He asked the same question 3 times at one point. It's like
Really?
within the same hour, he kept forgetting he asked it. He kept asking
Right.
if you could erase anything in your records, and the answer is no.
Right. No, of course not, dude. That's not how Bubbleverse works.
But he asked 3 times, and I was like, George, are you okay?
Dude, there was some slurs in some of those questions I've heard so far. And I've meant to comment on it a couple of times, but this one, that beginning, he it's almost like if he's not talking enough, right? They're just like but about the thing, and I'm like, Jesus, Georgie.
I don't think he's doing okay, dude. But let's get to some callers. So, Chris, we haven't introduced you to the reincarnated Cleopatra yet, have we?
Reincarnated Cleopatra?
Yeah. So Cleopatra,
She's a
calls in.
constant caller
Yeah, she calls in
all the time.
Yeah.
No, we've never met this lady.
Let's meet her.
I
She's
can't wait, dude. Oh my god, this is a character?
Yeah, this is one of the characters on the show. And by character, I mean real people.
Remember I was telling you about the caller who says she's the reincarnated Cleopatra?
Yeah.
She is here from Louisville, Kentucky. Louise is with us. Hello, Louise.
Hello, George. I heard you mention my name, so I had to call in. I'm the reincarnated Cleopatra. The 7th. Don't forget the 7th, because there were 6 before me. The first one was married to Alexander the Great, and that was, 200 or 300 years before Cleopatra the 7th was born. But
Amy, do you have any questions for Cleopatra?
Oh, I think it's great. I love that you're exploring it, and that it sounds like it brings you great joy.
Well, I love life, but I don't remember what happened at the end when I died as Cleopatra the 7th. I remember when I died as an Indian woman, I used to go down and pick herbs by the river, and one time I slipped on the rocks and fell. I remember that time, and I remember a lot of other times, but that last time is Cleopatra the 7th. I don't remember.
Did you die by a snake bite?
No. Octavian made up that story. He made up a lot of stories after I was gone. And I'm back this time to try to put things in order.
You know, I think of Coast to Coast AM being almost exclusively white listeners. But the callers that you have showed me, we have like Corny, right? That's a black man. That's a black woman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all types of people listen to Coast.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I think it's more just people who are up late, which I think can be across a wide spectrum of the lower class.
Right. Well, and so I just, I just always assumed, our atypical listener, or not our atypical, our typical Coast to Coast AM listener is a truck driver, right? And when I think truck driver, I think, middle-aged white dude. And that's really not the case.
Yeah. I mean, Cleopatra listened, so, and she's Egyptian.
And she's ancient Egyptian, so they're doing
covers a gambit.
Spanning generations. Spanning the generations.
She sounds so sweet, though.
So sweet, dude. And she just, Cleopatra the 7th.
The 7th, Chris.
Don't get it confused. Number 7.
Well,
and I love, dude. I may look into that. Octavian propaganda. Because here's the thing, Octavian, incredibly political. Incredibly political. Maybe the first truly political creature, like because he was a weakling. He was a little scrawny nothing, dude. Very intelligent, though. He was like a Tyrion Lannister almost. And that everyone, their biggest mistake was that they always doubted his ability, but he was just like very smart political creature. And yeah, dude, he could totally, for whatever, suicide in ancient times, depending on the circumstances, was seen as incredibly weak. And I'm sure there was some weird stuff about her doing it with snakes that was also like kind of erotic and I don't know, but also like Eastern and foreign, that I think would have terrified Romans. And
well, I
so
think it would also be a question. I don't know how far back that story goes. I know it's in Antony and Cleopatra, the Shakespeare play. I don't know if it goes back further than that. So I think that would be question number 1.
Ooh.
Is what is the origin of that story?
Was that a pure Shakespearean? I don't know, dude. I feel like that. Hold up. This is a pause, dude, because we got to know. So the general thing is no venomous snake was found with her body, but she did have tiny puncture wounds on her arm that could have been caused by a needle.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, there you go. So I guess maybe it is older than I thought. Not that we figured that out.
Pure propaganda, dude.
Could be propaganda, but we'll have to table that one for the next time that Cleopatra calls in. You ready to hear a reading, Chris? Because we got a lady named Karen who has a medical issue.
We got a live reading.
Ready
to go. Hot off the presses.
I have been suffering for 30 years, and the last 10 almost unbearably at times. Musculoskeletal problems from a severe injury. Do you have any advice?
So one of the things that they're wanting to suggest is that you move deep into faith. And what faith looks like to you can look very different to other people. And it's having faith that you can experience the body in a different way. They're also suggesting that you move more into and faith means also spirituality. They're wanting me to just define that a little differently. And then what spiritual practices assist you in having more faith, and what spiritual practices assist you in feeling better. And so they're saying that it's important for you to start exploring different practices, different modalities that pique your interest and that make you feel giddy like a little kid, because this is going to be helpful in terms of feeling better in the body.
Not terrible advice.
No, I mean, no, it's not bad.
You know what I mean? You know, if you're, it is kind of a mind over matter thing at a certain instance with chronic pain, right?
Yeah,
Like, you know, at some point it's kind of like you got to do the things to do to strengthen the weakened muscles or whatever it is, the strains or whatever. But also at the end of the day, it's like, if that pain's always going to be there, you got to do things to get your mind off the pain.
Yeah. I would say though, if you were accessing like all of the data in the universe, I would just want a better answer than that.
Yeah, a little
Make
bit
it
better
stop.
answer. So that was actually a question I had, Paul, because I was a little confused by that. So it's the Guardian who is talking to her and telling her what to tell people.
It seems to be the Guardian is like the intermediary of this data download.
I love they're telling me. They're like they're right there. You know what I mean? It's almost like a producer in the ear.
Yeah, actually, they're asking I clarify this term for you.
I want to clarify for you right now. This is live. We're doing this live, guys.
That's what it is, though. Is she actually has them in her ear.
Right.
Which is great. It's fun for her. So we get another one, Chris. This guy, I'm curious to hear what you think. Listen carefully to his question and to her answer, because I don't think she's answering his question.
Okay.
But I want to get your thoughts here.
Hi there, George. Hi there, Amy. Thank you so much for taking my call. I believe in all this kind of stuff, but I've never been a big believer in past lives, but you've kind of changed my mind a bit. And I'm just wondering if I've had kind of a hard time moving around. I've moved many, many times, and every time I move, I can't really seem to find peace. And I'm wondering if that has anything related to do with a past life, and it just any kind of energies you can feel around it. Or with my Akashic Records.
Yeah. So I love that you mentioned that you weren't a big believer in it, but then it got you thinking. So that's awesome. What I'm seeing when you were talking was a previous lifetime that you had problems with your legs. And it's almost like you fell into like a foxhole or something, and your legs were smashed from knee down. So what you can do to help with that, because I always like giving something if we're not doing an actual past life regression together, like, 'cause how can you utilize that information? So what I would suggest doing is for the next several weeks is put your hands on your knees and just love on your legs. You can like brush your hands down your legs, massage lotion or oils into your legs, and just imagine that your legs are super healthy. And then you can also say your name and the date, and you'll just simply say, I am present, I am here, and that my body feels good. My legs feel amazing. Because what that will do is it'll start to untangle you from that lifetime where you experienced trauma to the legs.
Paul, I had a completely different answer than broken legs in a past life.
Did you hear? Because he said, I move around a lot and I can't seem to be happy.
Yeah.
So it sounds like he's talking about physically moving locations, like he moves houses and states.
Yes.
And then she immediately jumps to your bones were broken.
She is tying I think she understood what she was saying, but this is what I'm saying, right? This is when things start to get a little silly, right? Because I have a completely different answer. Do you want to hear my answer?
Yeah, what's your answer?
My answer is that it actually has to do with genetics. The genetics of Americans are people who were too restless to remain in the countries of their birth. Were too restless for whatever it was that, generations. I mean, dude, people just leaving their homelands that they had literally been there for hundreds of years. and coming to a brand new place that was like full of nothingness for almost 200 years, right? Like that restlessness is imbued in almost all of us, right? Now, here's the thing, that like the atypical human is to be relatively comfortable, as we've talked about, right? But we have a whole country of genetics of people who are like, I got to get the hell out of here. And I got to go do something completely different than what everybody around me is doing. And so like that is imbued in all of us. And it manifests itself now in a myriad of different ways because there is no more frontier. There are new frontiers, right? And it like helps explain why Americans were kind of on the forefront of space. Americans are kind of on the forefront of technology and the internet, is because we needed new frontiers because we're too damn restless.
It's an interesting take. I haven't heard that one before.
So anyways, and that's why like, you know, everyone's like, oh my God, all these kids have ADHD. And it's like, no, they don't have ADHD. They're the genetic offspring of people who were too restless to remain in the most, like, what could possibly have been the most comfortable, you know, not most comfortable, but like you were in community. You were with people and families and things that, that had known them forever, dude. You know, back in the day in Europe, in Asia, in Africa, no matter where you were, people didn't move around. You stayed in the village that you lived in, that your family lived in for centuries.
So what you're saying is you don't think it was he broke his legs in a past life?
I don't think maybe.
That's possible.
Maybe that's the reason. But I think when an American tells me that they're restless, that's my immediate thought. We are the product of restlessness.
All right. Well, you know, and I think alternatively, it could not be genetic, but just something in the American, like, you know, zeitgeist, I guess.
The mythos and but I do think it is. I really do believe it's somewhat genetic.
Well, Chris, we got someone who is curious about their past lives. So do you want to check in with our last caller? And this is a man named Stacy. He makes a comment about how his parents picked out his name before he was born and they didn't want to change it. So there's going to be a reference to that.
A boy named Sue.
I'm just kind of wondering if any of the past lives that I've had that have led me to this point have been affecting like this life I have now. Like I'm a musician, play drums for E-flat, but I just want to know about my past lives in general and how they've affected this one.
Awesome. So sometimes you don't pick your name and sometimes you do. So sometimes the soul will come in and encourage the parent to name them a certain thing. And then sometimes you'll hear people that change their names after they were born, like in adulthood or whatever, whenever it is that they want to change their name. And it's because they feel like their soul wants to be named a particular name, and that name holds a particular frequency as well. And then as far as the past lives, you've had several lifetimes of being a musician, and then there's other things that that being a musician is great, but they're wanting to encourage you to find new hobbies. They're saying that there's other things that your soul wants to experience in this lifetime, and you in previous lifetimes, you were very into plants, you were very into herbs, and your soul's wanting to have that experience in this lifetime. And I'm not sure if you're into that thing yet, but if you're not, I would highly recommend studying it.
Dude, you know, a perpetual bard in the DM says, bro, maybe check out being a healer. Maybe check out being a paladin. You know,
mix it up.
You might really like being a wizard.
Yeah.
Switch it up a little bit.
Not
bad advice.
I do love it though, where she's like, yeah, you definitely were a musician, but you should mix it up a little bit. Let's branch out. And that's, you know, honest, I think it's good for you. I think it's good to pick up a new hobby, learn a new thing, especially because how often as an adult do you learn a new skill, Chris?
Right.
Not often.
Well, you do it all the time.
I do it constantly, but it's because I have mental issues. But most people don't.
And honestly, telling somebody to go like be in nature and grow things, that's the best darn advice you can give somebody, man. Like legitimately, like whatever you're growing, I don't even care what it is. Like it's just like you caring and nurturing for a thing and being involved in nature and the cycles of nature and being focused on those things, dude. These are all positive things.
Well, Chris, that will wrap up our episode with Miss Robeson. On a scale of 1 to 5 Platonian guardians, what do you give her?
Dude, 4.5 Platonian guardians.
Four
Dude.
and a half.
No, I'm playing. I'll give her. Oh no, it's more like a 3.5. I had a
Okay.
great time. I'm going to say mostly directionally right for Miss Robeson, dude. She didn't do a terrible job. The lore was mostly there. If you're listening, Miss Robeson, I want to hear platonic ideal. Did I get it right? Or not even
Email us.
close.
Email
Not
us.
even close.
Who knows, man? But I'm gonna give her 2. I think the advice that she was giving when she was doing the readings, I thought was good, like psychic BS, right? I was like,
Right.
I'll give it to you. You're saying nice things to people, and sometimes people just need to hear a nice thing. So that's where she got her 1 point from me from. But,
Where did the other point come from?
Well, I can't go lower than 1.
Oh.
I think I never give 0 stars.
I thought you said 2.
I know I said 2. Yeah, so she starts off with a 1, and then she got a bonus.
Oh, then she got a bonus. Okay.
I didn't give her any other because the other things I found very, very silly. And I get so annoyed with the Akashic Records stuff because everyone also describes it differently. Everyone has this completely different view of it and like what you can do and who's there. And like, I don't know.
Who started the Akashic Records? Where does this come from?
I don't actually know. I'd have to dig a little deeper into the archives to see when it kicked off. I just know it's constantly on.
All right. Well, I'm going to break the seal, but hopefully most of our listeners have actually cut off by this point. Did you know that the average listener doesn't like on an hour podcast will not listen to like the last 10 minutes?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's like for whatever, that's classic podcast.
It sort of makes sense though, because I probably do that by accident. Because I'll listen to a podcast interspersed throughout the day, like when I walk the dog or whatever. So I won't finish it. But if I see there's like 5 to 10 minutes left,
you're like,
I may not click on it. I'm like, I'll just go to the next thing.
Yeah, I'll just go to the next one. But I think that's a classic podcast trope, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how a lot of people listen to podcasts.
So we can really phone it in at the end.
Right, exactly. But oh shit. What were we talking about?
You said you were going to break the seal. I didn't know.
So I looked into Akashic Records. Guess where it comes from?
Where?
Theosophy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's it's originally from Theosophy.
Oh.
I don't know. I didn't look into it close enough that like, is it something that Aleister Crowley actually talked about? I'm not 100% positive about that, but it's a theosophical tradition.
It draws, well, I mean, and that was inspired by Neoplatonism, so that this all tracks.
Dude,
this makes a lot of sense.
Did I call the Plato in it?
You called the Plato. You're right.
It's all. Yeah, I've been reading so much about ancient philosophy and like the old ways, man. I'm like tuned into Plato right now.
I'm reading about the 1917 Russian Revolution right now, so I'm in a very different spot.
Dude. That's a fun one, dude.
It's Russia's wild.
Russia's wild, dude. Oh, the whole history of Russia is wild. You know, brother Dr. Cornel West says that the Russian is the only other person who can understand the plight of the Black American.
Because of how completely messed up their history has been.
Yes.
I honestly, after reading about 2 years so far of Russian history, I can see it.
Yeah,
I can see it.
Well, and dude, go back and read Tolstoy. Go back and read Dostoevsky. You know what I mean? The suffering is replete through it. And like Tolstoy focused on the elites.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like you feel the suffering, even just focused on the elites. Now, Dostoevsky, he liked his lower class slums, dude. So and he had a flavoring of it, dude, that it's almost impossible to even like. Again, I think that's why Cornel West says this, right? And he's a big Chekhov guy, which was a Russian playwright, but I haven't checked him out.
Yeah. I haven't really read much. Well, I haven't read any Russian literature, and this is why I'm doing this, is because I've also realized that I have like this glaring hole in my knowledge of like Russia. So I'm trying to fill it slowly by learning about the revolution, and then maybe doing a little bit of Stalin or Lenin, maybe doing a little Russian literature.
But also
we'll mix it up.
Go before the USSR to the like czars and see what the average Russian was dealing with.
Yeah.
And then, you know, do a little bit of a comparison between, you know, what was going on, especially at the beginning of the USSR. I'm thinking specifically of the kulaks, dude. The history of the kulaks in Russia, very fascinating.
Well, I just got to the part in history where a bunch of people got laid off from a factory, and then like 3,000 people tried to march to the palace with like pictures of the Tsar, chanting pro-Tsar songs, with the priest leading it, with a petition saying like, hey, we kind of like our jobs, could you help us out? Murders them all. They all get murdered.
Blasted, dude. They just starts blasting.
It's insane. There were like a bunch of women and children. They were unarmed and just.
And it was like Frank Reynolds. Well, I don't see so good. But I started blasting.
I was like, what is happening?
I thought it was an army coming down, dude. I don't have prescription eyeglasses. I can't tell. This is Russia in the early 1900s, which might as well be in the 1600s of the UK.
Yeah, it was chaos. But with that, Chris, let's wrap up the show. This has been Coast to Coast PM. I'm sure that no one listened to this last 10 minutes.
Dude, well, the real heads, dude, the real heads. You know, one of my favorite Daniel Tosh bits is when he just like goes down and down and down and down and down. And he's like, I just need that one person dying, laughing in the crowd, and the bit's totally worth it. Where you're just like, I can't even follow him, but he can. There's one person in the crowd following him.
All right, wrap it up,
hopefully
Chris.
There was one person. All conspiracy all the time later.